When you upload your own file of transactions, we need to know how to read it. You tell us how by mapping your spreadsheet columns to AvaTax fields. Start by telling us if you're importing transactions for more than one company. If you are, map the column that contains the company codes. If you have missing info in the column, or all the transactions are for the same company, we'll apply the company displayed here to each transaction in your file. Map a column to the document type field. This is the transaction's type. Each time you map a new field, we'll show you the value that the first entry in your spreadsheet has for that column to help you select the right one. Next, map a column to the process code field. This tells us to add, adjust, or void the transaction. If you don't map this field, we'll add your transactions as sales invoices. The entity use code field isn't required, but if you use them for exemptions, you can map your column. For any of these fields, you can apply the same value to each transaction in your file, instead of mapping. Next, map your columns to the required AvaTax fields. Make sure the column you map to the line amount field contains the calculated pre-tax line amount. Tell us where your transactions originate. For the US and Canada, the only required origin and destination info is state and zip code. However, it's a good practice to include all the address info you have. This helps us to calculate tax more accurately. If your file contains latitude and longitude info for your origin, you can use those values. If all the transactions originate in the same place, you can apply a location code instead of mapping to the origin fields. For transactions outside of the US and Canada, the origin and destination countries are the only required fields. Just like the origin fields, you can apply a location code if all the transactions have the same destination. You can also map to latitude and longitude instead of the address fields. If your transactions are in the hospitality or similar industries, they may be subject to additional taxes. You'll need to include attributes in your spreadsheet and map them to AvaTax. Otherwise, skip this. You've now mapped your file's info to all the required AvaTax fields. We show you the columns in your spreadsheet that you haven't mapped. We suggest some optional fields that you could map to. Select the optional fields you want to map and remove the ones you don't want. Your last step is to review your mappings and adjust anything that isn't correct. If you have more files to import, you can save this upload as a template. It contains your mapping work so you don't have to redo it. While your file is uploading, you can import another file, see when the current upload is complete and if it's successful, and review the new transactions as they are stored in AvaTax.